Creating a new table in MySQL is almost as simple as creating a new database. Let's use the use command to go back to the fruit database that we just created, and we're going to create a table called fruits within that fruit database. Now, if I just type in this line of SQL like that, with the same syntax as the create database command, it'll generate an error. Now this error tells us that we've forgotten to specify any columns within our table. When we create a table, we're creating essentially a structure to put our data into. So a table without a column has nowhere to put any data that it's given. So we need to make our create table command a bit more complicated. How we do that is we use an open bracket, and then let's hit enter to split this single SQL statement into several lines. This is not necessary, splitting it over several lines, but it does make it a lot clearer and a lot easier to see what we're doing. All the names of the columns and the definitions for the columns have to fall inside a pair of brackets after the create table statement. So we're going to put one column name and definition per line on the MySQL monitor. Once again, we don't need to do that, but it just makes it a lot simpler. So to begin with, we just put a name for our column, in this case name, which is going to be the name of the fruits, particular fruit that we put in. And then we need to tell MySQL what type of column that is. We're going to look at column types in more detail in the next chapter, but for now, all you need to know is that there's a column type called char, C-H-A-R, which stands for character, and in that we can store any kind of alphanumeric data. We also need to specify the length of that particular column. That is how many characters we can put in per entry into that column. In this case, we're going to say 20. Then we're going to put in a comma. We use commas to separate all the columns that we're including in our table definition. Then we do exactly the same thing on the next line. We're going to call this column color, and this column is going to represent the color of the particular fruit that we're entering on our database, and it's going to be of the same type. It's going to be of a character type, and the same length as well. So this is a very simple table. Those of you who know anything about what a table should look like will notice that I've missed out primary keys and I've allowed null values and so on. This is just a very simple example of a table. This is not like a table that we would use in a real-world database. I'm just trying to keep it simple to introduce the create table statement. We use a close bracket when we've finished naming and defining our columns, and a semicolon at the end to let MySQL know that we've done with our table definition and we want to run this whole line of SQL. As we can see, the table fruits has been created. Let's take a look. With show tables, as we can see, there's one table called fruits. And if we say show columns from fruits, then MySQL will describe the table that we've just created in detail. As we can see, it has two fields or columns, name and color, and they're both of the same column type, that is the character type. In our next movie, we're going to have a look at the different kinds of column types that we can use and when to use them.